In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
This is the Scarlet Supporters Podcast. You can contact us on all the usual social media platforms, or you can email us on scarletspems@gmail.com. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Scarlet Supporters Podcast with me, Lee G. Joining me, as always, is Big M and Hugh something. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening, bud.
So, Hugh Flatcap has changed to Hugh something this week. So, Hugh, talk us through why it's Hugh something. Oh, he's got his flat cap. So, let's have a look. I mean, it's classic. You see what I mean, Mark, about the farmer look, about the country look?
See, yeah, it's definitely there.
You can't. I'm trying to see if you can see the Scarlets badge. So this is the short-lived Brad Moore flat cap. Brad, if you come back, bring back your flat caps. Has anyone worn a Scarlets flat cap with an Argentina polo shirt before? I don't know, but let's claim I'm the first person ever.
Yeah, it's a definite unique combination there, Hugh. So where does Hugh something come from? What was Hugh something about this week?
So there's a Ben Darwin, who formerly played for the Wallabies, is now the CEO of a rugby not just rugby, a sports analysts company called Gameline Analytics. And a couple of years ago, I think it might have been whilst lockdowns were still on, he appeared on the Rugby Aotearoa podcast, which is like Rugby Pass's New Zealand podcast. So quite a big podcast. And his big thing is all about cohesion in teams, and is talking about you don't pick individuals, you pick combinations in teams and players who play together, and you need to bed those guys in. So I watched this podcast. It completely changed how I think about selection in rugby teams. It completely changed how I viewed rugby teams. And so a couple of years later, when I started doing on Twitter, I did a thread about how basically I made it about Wayne Pivac, but that was more to get people's interest. It was mostly about how the last few years, in terms of Wales's centre combinations, have just been a complete disaster. And I do blame Pivac for that. As much as I loved him and wanted him to get the Wales job and backed him for years, in hindsight, it didn't go well. So yeah, I did this thread and it got quite a lot of traction on Twitter, and it went about the place. And that was a couple of months ago now. Anyway, Ben Darwin went back on the Rugby Aotearoa podcast this week. And on that podcast, he was asked about Wales, and he said, well, I know that they've got a lot of centre turnover because of something this guy Hugh something put on Twitter. And I was like, yeah, people are like making fun of me, like, he didn't even know your name, mate. And I'm like, are you joking? This guy,
I don't care.
Who's like a rugby stats god, just name check me on one of the biggest podcasts in rugby. I'm absolutely losing my mind.
Did you have to change your Did you have to change your pants though? Did you have to go, oh my God, that was too much for me?
There was no pants changing. I was at work. I got tweeted by one of my other Twitter friends saying, oh, I just heard you on the podcast, mate. And I was like, what? Where? And so I got a couple of people pinging me about it. So that was nice.
Oh, cool. So Martin, top that. How has your week been?
It's been great so far, other than the heat. Kids are back in school. I'm really happy. That tops at 100%. You know, when you got 5 kids, getting rid of 4 of them, straight away, boom, loving it.
It's weird, isn't it? That first morning, and you're going like, I can hear the birds, and I can hear cars in the distance. It's a strange feeling after the summer, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not quite too peaceful for me yet. The youngest actually turns 3 tomorrow, so I'm still stuck with her at the minute, but hoping to get rid of her in the new year too. But yeah, nice and relaxing.
Cool. Well, talking of turning 3 or birthdays or anniversaries, we are officially 12 months old, gents. It popped up on my Facebook memories earlier this week that this time last year we did our first one. And you were on that first one, weren't you, Matt? I haven't gone back and listened to it. I fear going back and listening to it, I'll be honest.
I don't think I was on the very first one. I think I hid away somewhere for the first week or two, and then I just made appearance once I knew it wasn't, as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Was the first podcast before or after the first game? Do you remember?
Oh,
was it a
before.
Preview?
Yeah, it was before. I think last season.
The first episode wasn't the draw with the Ospreys at home then?
No.
Where you would have had your opinions.
Yeah, I think I did anyway. No, I think it was a couple of weeks before. And was it just me wittering on then?
Yeah, I think it was just you to start, because I think you interviewed Shusha for the first one.
Oh, yeah, I did some interviews.
And it was, I think it's either 1 week or 2 weeks before the start of the community game.
Yeah. Well, I got to get hold of Shusha again, because he's pretty much out for the season. He's done his knee, and he's going to be sitting around doing bugger all. So I'm going to give him a buzz and get him back on, because he knows stuff. He said he was going to have a good season last year, so we don't know that much, but we might get him back on. So yeah, we are 12 months old. So while we're in the spirit of celebrating good things, I'm just going to share this with listeners as well, and we'll get on to rugby in a second. But you might remember 6 weeks ago, I think it was. Yes, coming up on 6 weeks. Where I disappeared for a couple of weeks and I went into hospital. Well, I have my results back now, and so the stuff that they cut out was cancer. So it was cancer. And it was riddled with the stuff, but it hasn't spread. It's nowhere else in me. They've done a bucket load of tests and all that kind of stuff. So as far as they're concerned, at the minute, I'm cancer free. And yeah, so I was more than happy with that. That was last week. There was cake, there was celebrations, there was fizzy pop of the alcoholic kind.
There was cuddling asbestos. There was smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, it was all sorts of stuff. But yeah, so we're still not officially out of the woods. I've got to be monitored for God knows how long. But as far as we're concerned right now, yes, I am out of the woods, and away we go. So yeah, so this one we're going to put on YouTube just to see how YouTube goes. So. This is Idris. This is my wife's cardboard cutout of Idris. For no reason, really. It is I bought it as a joke anniversary present or Christmas present or something like that. And just every now and again we'll move him around and like leave him poking out the windows and stuff like that. And it's quite good fun. I suggest if anybody is wondering how to wind up the neighbours or scare the neighbours, get like a 6 foot life-size cardboard cutout of someone, doesn't matter who, as long as it's realistic, and you just put it in a doorway or something and let them open it, and they absolutely shit themselves. It's hilarious. It's fantastic. So, yeah. So then on top of that, we've obviously got Hugh's black cap and Argentina top. It's a very interesting combination. And Mart, your top is
Hurricanes, baby. That's bird. Why is it bird?
No, because you're too close. So Hurricanes. So obviously an original, yeah, not one of these like bought ones. That's one of your original ones from back in the day when you were playing, yeah.
Oh, it's not that old. It's not that new either. It was on offer. That's all I can say. Rugby Heaven had a decent shirt for a decent price, so I went for it.
Matt, do you know who owns the Hurricanes?
New Zealand? No.
Y11.
Oh, cool.
They're the partnership, aren't they? Yeah,
the Hurricanes are the official partners of the Ospreys.
Mm. Did you see this week where Cardiff put their announcement
Scarlets
out?
pod, guys. Scarlets pod.
Yeah. But so Cardiff put their announcement out. They said that there's significant money coming into the club, and then they had to put in that it was coming from a source that was non-rugby related, just to kill any Y11 rumours. So I thought that was good. Doesn't matter how many times you do something, somebody will always go, "You merging with the Ospreys there, boys." I think you might be. So, right, let's talk rugby, boys. Let's talk rugby. So, what rugby we got this week? Thoughts on the Rugby World Cup in general to start with, Martyn? Just how are you up for it? Is it capturing you yet?
I'm not quite in the mood yet. It'll probably take me, a few more days. Wait till that Friday kicks in, and like 7 o'clock will come. I'll turn the TV on, and then I'll just go 0 to 100 in a second. I'll just start bouncing.
Have you agreed remote control and things yet? Have you got it written in a contract somewhere about having control of the remote for the next month and a half?
I'm being locked away in a room. I don't know what room I've got yet, but I know I've got a room on my own. That's as far as it goes.
Cool. What about you, Hugh? Are you up for the World Cup yet?
I think I'll peak at excitement because the first game, obviously on Friday night, I think when the All Blacks go woo like that at the beginning of the hacker, I think that's when I'll be bang up for it. I think because I'm now an official rugby broadcaster with your good selves, I have entitlement to the remote. I have to watch this, dear. I have to watch this. Otherwise, I won't be informed for my podcasts. So there you go.
I think that's a good angle to go at because I still haven't broached the subject yet. I'm on the point of having to get a new television tomorrow because my one just the picture keeps going black halfway through. For no reason at all. You don't change channels, you don't do it. So having to change televisions and get possibly a bigger one, possibly a better one 2 days before the World Cup starts. Why are we doing that? And I've just upgraded the Wi-Fi and the broadband as well 2 days before the World Cup starts. Why are we doing that? Well, this is so I haven't quite put all of the dots together yet, but I'm fairly sure that I will. So
I've got a question for you both. Are you going to watch it on ITV or S4C?
Are all games on S4C? Is it just Wales games on S4C?
Wales games, and I think one other game. I'm fairly sure that France All Blacks is on S4C.
Yeah, I think that's classed as part of the opening ceremony, isn't it? Because it comes straight after the opening ceremony or something like that. So I think that's why it's on. I'll certainly be watching Wales games on S4C because I've seen some of the commentary team for, and anyone that's listened to us in the past will know that I've got certain issues with certain commentators who give one-word commentary, summarize the game. That was good. And what about the opposition? Yeah, they were poor. To me, that's not a summary. And that individual put their podcast out this week, and they do it with someone else. I'm not going to think because he's sensitive as hell, and he'll just be on my case. I commented on something that his co-commentator was on, and I was praising up his co-commentator, and I made a very small snide comment that was, "You'd be better on your own." And oh my God, he just gave me grief for like 2 hours solid on Twitter. So so they put like a World Cup podcast out this week, and his co-commentator go, "Great to be back doing this. This is fantastic. Loving it. France is amazing. Look at this." And I swear to God, his comment under that was, "It's nice." And I'm like, can't even be asked to make an effort on Twitter. Come on, man. So that was my thing. So I think I'll watch whatever I can on S4C, but specifically because of that issue that I've got. What I am doing with some of our sister pods, and at some point I'm going to probably invite you guys onto it as well. So I'm going to be doing a YouTube live watch along. Yeah. Where, like, imagine like we're talking now. Yeah. But we're all watching the game. So instead of saying how are Wales doing, how are Fiji, you've got the game on in the background and you're going like, oh, come on, referee. What the hell are you thinking of? And then you'll have people commenting and all of that kind of stuff. So we'll just be on in the background. So if you don't want to listen to certain commentators, you can listen to us whittering away at the game and shouting and all that kind of stuff. And it'll be like having a couple of mates in the room. So I shall be doing that through the World Cup as well.
Yeah, I fancy that going down to well. I think you'd be reposting it every 5 minutes or every 30 seconds, knowing you. Like, one word down.
Yeah, I'm not a good watcher. If I'm watching someone who's not Wales, I'll be perfectly my normal self. But if I'm watching Wales, you're there like that.
See, I'm the other way. I've got to put
with a pillow there. Though.
No, I've got to put screens up in front of the telly and all sorts. So we just bought a reclining sofa just before I came out of hospital. And so I came out of hospital on the day Wales were playing England, and I was, a bit slow walking and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in the recliner and quite far back, and it's virtually bed-like. I'm watching the game, and somebody did something, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm trying to grab hold of my slipper to throw it at the telly because I couldn't get the bloody chair forward fast enough. And my wife's like, is everything okay? Everything, what's my leg? Oh, he had a 2-on-1 and he bloody didn't give, what the hell's going on? And my wife's like, you're out of hospital an hour, yeah? An hour, and you're already screaming at the telly. It was, so, I got to put a screen up, the dogs hide behind the sofa. That's kind of how I watch. I'm not allowed glass. My wife gives me a plastic glass now to watch Wales games. So could be interesting. But we'll post that. So let's talk about the game. Sunday afternoon, Wales Fiji. Interesting news today with Fiji's outside half is out of the game. But pretty much Fiji's forwards are where they're dominant. So, Martyn, give us an idea of the forwards battle on Sunday and what can we expect?
Give an idea, Christ. So it's always awkward to give an idea of anything when you don't know the team sheet. But just looking through their squad, and who will attest to this? He's done a nice little write up on Fiji elsewhere. But their forwards over the last probably 2 years, the development they've had has been unreal. They've gone from a team that basically lives off scraps and lives off, returning ball to being able to retain their own possession. Their set piece has been developing massively. You just need to look at the Fijians who are contributing, a massive chunk of this squad to know they're going to be holding their own line out and they're going to be running at everybody. Like, they are so interchangeable. I mean, the front row aside, I think everyone can play everywhere. It's just typical of Fiji teams. So it's going to be hard fought. I'm expecting, but every time I say I think I know something Gatland's going to do, he goes the opposite way. So I was expecting to see at least 2 sevens, in our back row, because if you watch the France-Fiji game from a few weeks ago, that's something that France did massively well against them. They cut them off at source in the ruck. They jackled, they won possession, they stopped them dead. And I think that's going to be a key battle in the forwards. We're going to need to slow them down in the ruck at the least, and if not, get some key turnovers and penalties. And that's how the game is going to go where the forwards are concerned. It's going to be, tackle massive contest at the ruck, because I think that's the only thing Wales can do to try and negate what Fiji have to offer.
So where do you see the Welsh strengths in the forwards then? Where can we do some damage in the forwards?
I think our biggest bet is probably back row. And even without Faletau, I know it's come out to say that everybody's fully fit. I don't believe that he's fit or definitely not capable of starting this game. I think we need the likes of Basham, Morgan, and Revel, or maybe not, starting. 3-7s, we've been down that road before. It doesn't always work, but definitely in the team just to really contest everything and offer that extra bit of support. I mean, we need big ball carriers. We don't have them, and Basham probably is either our best or second best ball carrier in the forwards for me. Probably Rowlands maybe does one better. I'm not including Dewi Lake in that because, again, I don't think he's 100% fit. But of the boys, I think would be selected in that 8 for Sunday. I'd expect, Will Rowlands and Basham to do a hell of a lot of work.
So what do you make of Gatland's comments around bringing the water break back on 20 minutes, where Gatland said about, the Welsh forwards in particular are prepped for hot games. They're prepped, their fitness. We've seen the work that have been done on fitness over the last kind of 6-8 weeks. So do you think that's where Gatland's going? Do you know what? That's probably where we're going to take them. We're going to have to stick with them for 60 minutes and move them around, and then those last 20 we'll genuinely do something then.
It's very typical, especially of a World Cup Gatland team. They're always extremely fit, and they try to just basically keep it close for as long as they can, like you've just said. And I don't get why comment on the water breaks at all. I mean, it's a health issue, it's a safety issue. So why say, we don't want them? Well, it's not exactly your choice, so why make a comment on it? But yeah, he does like his fitness. I mean, I think I'm not a big fan of Gatland. Anyone who knows me will know I've never been a fan of his. Even going back to his early days with Ireland, and he could prepare a really good team for rugby circa 2015, 2017, but that doesn't translate into the way the rugby world works at the minute. And I think we're going to be found wanting massively, especially when it comes to the attacking side of the game.
Okay, so Hugh, what did you make of Gatland's comments for that? And are we going to do anything in the backs differently to the forwards? Let's assume that the forwards are giving us a little bit of ball. Are we capable of doing any damage in the backs?
I think we are capable. I'm interested to see in the backs whether he starts Bigger or he looks to bring Bigger off the bench. I think Bigger's the key one, but it's just a question of whether he goes back to what he was doing with Anscombe previously, with having the more attacking 10 start and then Biggs coming off the bench to close the game out. That's what I would prefer to see. I would prefer to see Costello starting and Bigger off the bench. But I don't know, he might decide to play it safe. Obviously, Fiji been rocked by their news of Caleb Muntz being injured. He's completely out of the World Cup, which is devastating for them, devastating for him as well. He had completely nailed the brief of what the Fiji 10 needs to do. You don't need to be the one making the line breaks. You don't need to be the one doing the side steps. It's get the ball to these incredible players outside you, kick to touch and kick your goals. And he understood that perfectly. So the guy they're going to bring in, probably, I don't think Volovola has been called up. So it's going to be Teller will be in at 10 for them. He's been playing for the Drua nearly all year. He's been playing more games for the Drua than Muntz has. And he's already got the relationship with all the scrum halves and all the centres and everything. So from a cohesion point of view, I don't think they lose anything. But he has got barely any minutes in the warm-up. So it tells me that the coach was putting all his money on Muntz. So that's a bit of a shame. Beyond 10, I think, before I go beyond 10, I'll say, I think we have a clear advantage at scrum half. I think whether we go Gareth Davis or Thomas Williams, the box kicking will be better, and I think they both offer more of a threat around as well. I don't know, in the centres and wingers, that's Fiji's bread and butter. I got to spend some time with some Fijians a couple of weeks ago, and you meet them and you go, you played rugby? And they go, yeah. I go, where do you play? Centre. Okay. Do you play rugby? Yeah, what do you play? You play in the centre. All right. Yeah, I play in the centre as well. Oh, okay. Right. I see. So I think they'll probably play a whole back line of centres. It'll be interesting for me to see whether Radradra keeps his place or if Josh Tuisova comes back in. Nath Levi we know is nailed on because he's the captain. And Roberto Marder and Habosi on the wings for me, you can't drop. So it's interesting to see if they move Roberto Marder back to 15 maybe to shoehorn in Tuisova, and keep Radradra, or they play something a bit more normal as Fijian backlines can be in a good way. I think whether we go for Liam Williams, which I expect we will, or he goes for Halfpenny, I think we'll have an advantage at fullback. From a tactical point of view, I don't think any nation in the world has got centres as good as Fiji at the moment. I think they're terrifying, so they're the ones who scare me. I think our wingers are as good as theirs, though. So I think we're going to have an advantage at halfback, but we're going to have a disadvantage in the centres.
And kind of same questions I asked Martyn at the forward. So where do we beat them then? How do we take the team that we put out, and how do we beat them in the backs? So let's assume we're getting ball and we're going forward. We've seen them, snap goalposts in half, sort of thing with their tackling. How do we get around the outside? What are you expecting from Wales to actually put more tries on the board than Fiji put on the board for us?
It'll be very normal Warren ball, I think. Some people don't like that phrase, but I think it'll be kicks. I think it will be trying to dominate in contact. I think we'll, reading Catlin's comments here, they'll keep the ball in play. Wales will keep the ball in play as much as possible, try to tire Fiji out. I think, like I say, it will be box kicking, long kicking. It'll be kick chase, putting pressure on them in the air, which I think it is doable. I think that is, people won't like it. People will say it's boring, but I think it will work. And at the end of the day, what matters is that we win the game. It doesn't matter if we win 3-0 or 30-0. So yeah, I expect us to go. We're not going to be going round. I don't think we're going to be going over or through.
See, and I've got pretty much the same idea that, I still think Fiji are vulnerable in the last 20 minutes of the game. I think a lot of that 20 minutes, those last 20 minutes, if they're close.
Tell England.
Well, yeah, but that's it. If they're close and you've got that bit of adrenaline, then yeah, they can run that adrenaline into the ground. But if they're out of the game by then they do start to kind of fall apart. They fall back onto the old ways. Not as badly as they used to, but they certainly almost an air of desperation. We have to do something and this, that, and the other. So I think, yeah, the tactics from Wales, again, I'm not a fan of Warren Ball either, but I can see right from the start the ball coming down with snow on it, and it's just pressure. I can honestly see, and I don't want to, but I can see Bigger starting purely to go, right, okay, we're going that corner, up in the air, left, right, up, and really forcing the back three as far back as we possibly can, and say keeping the ball on the pitch and really putting pressure on their back three. I think our wingers, we will probably see more of our wingers in chasing the ball than any time we've got possession, our wingers will be flat and they will be chasing the ball constantly and just putting pressure on the Fiji back three with the idea of, you have to push people back. And if Fiji want to score tries against us, they're going to have to do it from their own 22. I think that's the tactics that we're going to go with to knacker them out, frustrate them, get them to lose a bit of discipline and all of that kind of stuff, and really put them under pressure. I think France put them under pressure and they held themselves together, but France were trying to play a similar game to Fiji. They were trying to play a game through the centre. They were trying to play a game with the wings, and they weren't putting Fiji in a position where they were uncomfortable with a game being played around them. France were trying to play Fiji at being Fiji, sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's where the tactical game can be won, and it'll be boring as hell, like you say. And I think I best get some soft slippers to throw at the telly or something, and because it'll be frustrating, it'll be boring, but if it's a 3-0 win at the end of the game, it's a 3-0 win, and I don't think I'd care.
Something France also did in their game was they took kicks at goal constantly. So the scoreline, I think France scored 34 points, but they only scored 3 tries, which is still, plenty. But I think they were something like 9-0 up after the first 12 minutes or something like that. So I think I would just expect to see Wales do that as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see us take a drop goal. Just keep the scoreboard and make them look at the scoreboard and go, oh yeah, how did they score 12 points? They've done nothing, but they've got 12 points on us. I think that's just, you got to grind them down.
Yeah, I agree. So, Martyn, let's get can Wales win? And what's your score prediction for Wales-Fiji this weekend, my friend?
Oof, yeah, Wales can win. It's a game of rugby at the end of the day.
No messing around there, straight in. Can it? Yeah, Wales can win. See, now that's commitment. That is. It's either been drinking or that's proper commitment.
Yeah, there's no point beating around the bush. It's yes or no. I'm comfortable with saying yes. Scoreline, that's a little bit more difficult. I'll probably go something like 21-19, and all our points will be from the boot.
Certainly if Halfpenny's playing, yeah, it'll all be from the boot. Hugh, can Wales win? Scoreline prediction?
Absolutely, Wales can win. Muntz being out helps a lot. It's funny, the whole build-up to this game has been obsessing about the 2007 game from all the media. I mean, if you compare it to like the English media has been going like, Borthwick's written off England players are ready to show everybody's wrong, etc., etc. Whereas I'm looking at, for my sins, I'm looking at Wales Online now, and they're saying Welsh rugby's darkest day, the men who inflicted it, and the remarkable aftermath after their careers ended. Like, so that shows kind of the differences between the two medias. But since 2007, we haven't lost to Fiji, and that includes 3 World Cups. So history is, as much as people wouldn't like to say it, on our side. We can win, and I think we will win, but it won't be pretty. But it doesn't. I don't care. All I care about is winning.
So your scoreline prediction would be?
I'm going to go 23-16 to Wales.
Cool. So I am going to predict the Welsh one as well. And I think we'll see people like Mason Grady trundling down the 9-10 channel. And I think we'll be doing everything we can to hit that 9-10 channel and possibly the 10-12 channel. But I'd go 9-10. If I had an option to run at the 9 and the 10 or the 10 and the 12, I'd probably take the first option. Just to kind of batter them in a place where I think they're weakest. And you put that in with, then you're kicking the ball back into their 22. I just think Fiji are going to get more frustrated than Wales, and they'll get more frustrated quicker. And I think that'll be the key to the win. So, yeah, I'm not expecting an exciting game. I'm expecting me to get through about 4 tubes of Pringles, which is, I usually have 1 tube for the first half, 1 tube for the second half, and I can judge the game on how many tubes of Pringles I get through. So, yeah, I'm going to go for a Wales win. I think it'll be quite a tight, boring game, and it'll be 15-9 to Wales. I don't think it'll be hard. I think Fiji are going to try and run some amazing tries in, and just not really get as far as they usually do. And I think Wales will just kick them and kick them and kick them and kick them. So 15-10. Fiji get 1 try and a penalty. There you go, 15-10 to Wales. So that's our prediction for the first game, gents. So we're all done with that. It's there now. We can't go back on it. We shall come back next week and review it. And oh Jesus, yeah. Anybody else nervous about the World Cup in general? I'm nowhere near as comfortable as I was for the last one. I'm quite nervous.
Yeah,
we were good for the last one.
I'm really the opposite. I'm happy either way. If Wales go through it, brilliant. If Wales don't go through it, that means Scarlets boys will be fresh or coming back. So I'm happy either way.
What about you, Hugh?
We've got a very favourable draw. So,
so do Fiji.
Yeah, so do Fiji.
Diplomacy.
Fiji's games are a nightmare though. They got us, then Australia. If they lose 2 of those, that's it. That's the tournament over.
Yeah.
Whereas we will have the chance to go again.
It's going to be interesting. Okay, so Martyn touched on Scarlets there briefly. So we have had a little bit of Scarlets action over the last couple of weeks, albeit under 18s. So Martyn, bring us up to date on where the under 18s are, my friend.
Yeah, well, it's start of the year, and it's more along the lines of solidifying that under 18s team, doing the extra ID processes, giving the boys game time. So they've had 4 games in this block. We've already spoken about the first 3, Saracens, Dragons, and Cardiff, all nice, big, comfortable wins, which, if you spoke to anybody, February, March, this time earlier in the year, they probably wouldn't have thought that much, especially you, Lee. I can say that much with a big smile on your face. But, final one up, when was it, last Wednesday now, so we're coming up to a week ago. And, Osprey's the big one to round everything off. And, things just really didn't go to plan. I think we've been scoring, 30, 40, 50 points in those first 3 games. And, half-time came and, 17-0 down. It was like, massive shock to the system. And I really don't know what was said at half-time, but, I wished I was there in that little huddle to hear what was going on, because the boys came out and they absolutely smashed it. Fair play to them. And they ground out the rest of the game. Next 15, 20 minutes, they fought themselves back into it, got within a score, and then last 10 minutes, they ran in 3 tries to make it 33-17. So it looked a lot more comfortable than what it was, but there was a lot of heart and a lot of determination shown in that game by the boys.
Yeah, and the transformation from this year to last year has been massive. And, we know a lot of stuff's gone on in the background to correct a lot of the stuff that was wrong last year. And fair play to the guys that are doing it now. That, some fantastic score lines coming up. Haven't they still got RGC? I haven't seen them play RGC yet.
No, I haven't had any confirmation of any fixtures. Like, I've been in touch with the Scarlets comms, and they as far as I know, they said they've done now till the RAG starts up in late December, January time.
Yeah, so that's when they'll play 4 on 4, isn't it? They'll play 4 home, all 4 regions, all 4 the other regions. So they'll play RGC, Cardiff, Dragons, and the Ospreys, and then there'll be return fixtures and stuff. So yeah, this is more of a warm up and selection, isn't it? Yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself. I was getting all excited. I was seeing the scorelines coming in and going, yeah, this is where we were expecting to be last year, So cool. Good. And no other Scarlets news this week, or the only Scarlets news I've seen is Shingler signing up to play Barbarians. And I think that I'm expecting Rob Evans to turn out for the Barbarians as well, because he's done it once, so I would kind of expect him to do it again. Wouldn't you? Have you heard anything else?
I think he'd love the opportunity. Nothing would scream more. I mean, I think he's still more than capable of doing a job in our squad. I thought at the time, we were making a mistake to let him go. I think the Dragons have definitely made a massive mistake letting him go. But seeing him back at the park would be lovely. But also seeing him turn up for Haverfordwest would be just the same.
Yeah, I haven't touched base with Haverfordwest yet to see if he did play. I haven't seen a team sheet or anything. The one criticism I've got of Haverfordwest is their social media is not great. And
come on, Lee, be positive, man. Come on, be happy.
That means you can slag him off as much as you want. They won't come back to you.
The women's team is absolutely fantastic. The women's team, they put the fixtures out, they put the team list out, they put the celebrations after, the game photos, the game reports, all of this kind of stuff, and it goes on the same social media channel as the men's. So you'll see like a final score pop up, and you'll go, "Oh, great, okay, it's the women." I know it was on Sunday and stuff, but yeah. So anyway, I haven't seen if Rob was actually playing last week, but we shall find out. So that gives us a handy introduction into the community game. So we, as promised previously, we're going to split the pod now. So we're going to end this one, and then there'll be two little bits. So if you're from the east, it's not your fault. Don't worry, someone's got to. You can listen to Martyn Saucepan Central with Hugh, and if you're obviously Westerer is Besterer, then that'll be me and Martyn later. So yeah, what I will say before we split into east and west. So we had two bits of feedback, both related to the community game last week after last week's show. Yeah. So one of them, I can't remember the guy's name, I'll be honest, really wasn't happy that we got something wrong with Division 1 West or something like that. Your information's out of date, you guys are completely useless and this, that and the other. Yeah. Call yourself a podcast. So let's be fair, we're dealing with 62 teams, I think it was, we counted last week. We don't know the ins and outs of every single team in the area. We've got we're building up our knowledge and our experience of all of the teams. But we're making the effort to go out to speak to teams, and we're making the effort to go out and touch base with teams. And if somebody wants to come on and correct us about something, got no problems about that at all. So the second bit of feedback I had was from the Gwilly Warriors. So we said last week about within mixed ability, they wear different colour shorts. So we said, actually, boys, we don't wear different colour shorts. It's an option that people have. Some teams do, some teams don't. I'd be happy to explain it to you. So guess who we're talking to on the pod in the coming weeks? We're talking to the guys that are going, hey, do you know what? I can help you out on this. I can fill in a bit of your gap of knowledge. And actually, I should be speaking to the Warriors and the Vikings after their match on Sunday. Apparently, it's a fantastic match on Sunday. It was a lovely day for it. So I should be speaking to both of them about mixed ability rugby and what it means to everybody in the coming future. So the moral of the story, before we split into East and West, is if you've got a problem with us, then come on and help us get to know some of the clubs that we don't know, because, for the love of God, I could not name 62 clubs start to finish if they weren't written down in front of me. And I can give you an idea of, the last time I played there, or, some of the media reports. We don't have encyclopedic knowledge over every single club in our region. So if you are listening and you're from a club and you want to come on, whether you're a player, a coach, a supporter, a committee man. So this week, Martyn's done a really cracking interview with Gareth from Llandyfri. And that really gave us a good insight into the workings of Llandyfri. So that's available on Saucepan Central if anybody wants to have a listen to it. So yeah, if you are sitting there and going, why doesn't my club ever get any coverage, or they got this wrong and all of that kind of stuff, get in touch, drop us a line, and we will happily have you on. So with that in mind, gents, okay, so that's the Scarlets pod wrapped up. So I'm going to say farewell. We shall catch up again next week after the Fiji game, and we shall do this all again. So for now, farewell and enjoy your rugby, gents.
Bye, Lee. Nice seeing you.
Cheerio, bye.
For listening to this week's show. Please subscribe and share, as it really helps to grow the Scarlets family. You can contact us in all the usual social media platforms or on scarletspems@gmail.com. Join us again next week for more of the same, and in the meantime, enjoy your rugby.
Sports Social Podcast Network.